Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. My name is Chris Knight. I am a portrait and commercial photographer based here in New York City. And today I'm going to be doing a live demonstration about controlling light in small spaces. As much as I love kind of shooting in environments and working in big studios, oftentimes we are saddled with the unique challenge of shooting in relatively small spaces. And so I'm going to take a relatively kind of masochistic approach here and create a very confined space for me right out of the gate to show you some different tricks and tips you can use to kind of control light in that very, very restricted space. I would like to say a big thank you to Fujifilm for having me out here today, for Adorama, and Profoto for bringing me some gear to play around with. Very lucky to be having some help from both of them on today's broadcast. So I will also say, for those of you that are here and those of you watching the chat live, I'm very, very used to taking questions as I go. So if anybody happens to have a question they'd like a little bit more thought on, or hey, why did you do this, whatever, just give me one of these and I will try to take care of you in time. My model today is Chris. That makes it very easy for both of us. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this and take you through what this process might look like. I am also going to make it a little difficult for myself at first, just to kind of illustrate some points by putting up some V-flats. I will not leave them up the whole time once you see that it doesn't really matter once we're able to shape it. So I can kind of take it down and make your lives a little bit easier so that you guys aren't totally blocked from what I'm doing. So when they do go up, please don't worry, it won't be there the whole time. So what we have here is a mid-gray background. I wanted to keep something relatively light toned to show you how transformative it can be just through the use of light. Chris is also wearing a relatively dark sweater, and I wanted to show you how we can create that separation as well in this small space to really shape the light in the most dramatic way possible. The camera that I'm using today is the Fujifilm 100S camera, which is usually my regular workhorse. Currently I have the 55mm lens on it, the 1.8, but I possibly, depending upon how things go, might switch over to the 80mm. For those of you translating that to full frame, the 55 roughly translates to around a 42, 43 millimeter on a full frame, the 80 being around a 72 or so. So rough equivalencies. It's a little bit wide for maybe a traditional portrait, but I happen to really like the character of it up close, and we'll kind of see how that plays out. I'm going to be tethering into the computer. I'm using Capture One here so that we can see this live and get it as close as we can in camera. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and set this up just to make things as challenging as I can for myself. I've got two V-flats here, and the first one, oops, we're just going to set it to the white side because maybe you're working in a home studio, or maybe you're shoved inside a little closet at a space where you're just given an incredibly small room and you struggle to really control the light. So I'm going to put up two white walls on the side to show you how difficult this can be to deal with. I also have Chris relatively close to the background. He's, no, you're fine. Good. I would say he's probably like 1.5 feet, 2 feet off the background. And I'm going to show you what we can do with this, how little differences can make a big change in the image and what we can kind of do in this space. Okay, so my camera settings currently, I'm going to be shooting at a relatively low ISO just for the cleanliness of the image. At an ISO 100, I'm going to be doing a shutter speed of 1/125th, which is the sync speed of my camera, not kicking it into any weird high-speed sync things or anything like that. And then I'm going to probably guess and say my aperture is going to be somewhere in the 5.6 range, just as a baseline. And I'm going to start by grabbing one of these lights, which is a Profoto B10X. And I am definitely not going to be using all of this power. It's a 500 watt strobe. I'm going to be keeping it relatively low. 3A. And what we're going to do is kick that modeling light on. And I'm going to throw on a 3-foot OCF octabox, just something that gives me a little bit of soft light. Now, one of the things that I see people struggle with right out of the gate, oftentimes, is that when they have a modifier, they end up leaving it a little too far away. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by showing you when we just put this decently far away. I'm going to use my trusty meter to give me about a 5.6 just to see where we're at with it. Okay, so I'm reading 5.6 and a third. So I'm going to set it to 5.6.
The dome of the meter, you're pointed towards the light, or you're pointing it towards... The dome of the meter, you're pointing towards the light, or you're pointing it...
The dome of the meter, I am pointing toward the light.
Thank you.
Yes. And I'm overexposing it by about a third, which is going to give me a little punch to the skin. So just so that you can see how flat everything is here. ND. Sorry, what was that?
Change if it wasn't 5.6 on the face.
What? Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
What would you adjust if it didn't read 5.6?
If it didn't read 5.6 from the meter, what would I adjust? Well, if it was reading 4, for example, I'd turn it up a stop. I would turn the light up a stop. Yes. So currently, it's very flat. Thank you. I'm going to put this to my daylight balance. The thing is there's a little bit of softness to the light, but the light is not that far off in power from him and the background, right? So when it comes to a meter, there are kind of a couple ways you can use it. One, you can use it to tell your camera what power it needs to be, or what aperture it needs to be, or what power your light is. But I actually like it for reading the scene, or if I'm using multiple lights, how they relate to each other. And so if I were to read the scene right at Chris's face, which is where I'm basing the exposure, I'm getting that 5.63. But if I read the back wall here, it's reading about a stop less. It's reading 4. So it's not really that much darker than it would be if it were perfectly exposed, which is why it appears pretty bright. Now, the way light fundamentally works in terms of quality is that the closer the light source is relative to your subject, the softer it will be. The larger it will appear, the softer it will be, right? The further away it is to your subject, the relatively harder it will be. Now, this is a softbox. It's not really going to be soft, but the shape of the light, the way it forms those shadows, has a little bit more definition to it because it's relatively further away. But if I move it in closer, it will become a relatively larger light source to the subject, creating a softer quality of light. But there are kind of a couple things at play here. The quality is definitely changing, but it is also changing the brightness, right? So it's going to be a brighter light unless I adjust for it because it's coming in closer. But it's also affecting the difference between the exposed area and the shadow. And so this is where we start to get into something called the inverse square law. And without getting too deep into the weeds on it, we'll treat it a little bit more practically. When it goes really close to your subject, the shadows become much darker. You get more of a fall off between what is really close to the light and the background. So here at the moment, right, Chris in the background, compared to the light source, they're closer together. But if I move that light source in closer to Chris, relatively, the background isn't as close to him. So what'll happen when I bring this in really, really close is, yes, the light does get softer, and there is a lot of light bouncing around in here. Meter this really quick. So it's reading 11.2, so just over f11. It added about 2 stops of light. Now here's the thing, and this is where inverse square law gets a little bit fun. If I were to change the exposure here from 5.6 to 11, you'll notice that it'll be properly exposed, but the shadows will get a little bit darker, and the background won't be totally dark, but it will be darker. Okay? It's a little bit darker. See that? Just a little bit. Because it's relatively a different distance. But if I were to bring this down to 5.6, it's not going to be that noticeably different. If I went back to the original exposure, so I'm just going to bring this down 2 stops. Great. The idea here is that it's not really, see that? It's not really about the aperture changing as much, although you will get a little bit with ambient light. But here, the ambient light isn't really doing that much. It's still dark in the shadow area, right? Just by bringing it in closer. So the closer you bring the light, the darker the shadows will be. But I can control this even more. Easiest way to do this is by feathering it off the background. So instead of pointing the light directly at your subject, instead what we're going to do is we're going to angle it a bit off. Now the issue here is it's now bouncing off this board. So that's going to create our own series of problems, but let's check the light one more time. Wrong. So I lost about a half a stop of light. I could either adjust my exposure or I could turn this up. I'm just going to turn this up. And so what's now happened is I'm getting a little less light on the background. You can kind of see, especially on the left-hand side, how it's starting to get a little bit darker. See, we're changing the shape of it a little bit. But let's say we wanted to control it even more. We have a grid, yes? Cliff? We have a grid for the 3 foot?
I do not.
No, okay. No grid. Okay, no grid, it's fine. A grid can be one of the solutions, but we can also bring everything off the background a little bit, and we can make that background go even further away. So I'm going to scoot you up just about a foot, not even a whole bunch. A little bit more, a little bit more. Great. We'll bring everything off just a little bit more. Great. Cool. Maybe turn your face just a little bit. That's great. And you can see how much darker that background has gotten. And I mean, he moved a foot. But look at how beautiful that fall off of light is now. Now this kind of light is, like, this is flattened out. There's nothing done to it, right? But if we think of like the old classic Irving Penn window portraits where he would kind of create that gradient of light across the background, you can kind of see how it's dark over here and light over here. We call this checkerboarding the light, where it basically makes one light go in 2 different directions. So the light on Chris is going left to right, whereas the background is going dark to bright, and it kind of creates this effect. And when you crank the contrast up a little bit, I'll get a little bit here, you start to kind of see how it's doing that really beautiful effect. Now also here, something to note, that the right side of his face has a lot of lift to the shadows, which I actually don't like. I think it works here in this image. But the challenge is that if you don't want that, how do we control it, right? There's a couple of different ways we can do it. In a space like this, if you happen to have V-flats or collapsible V-flats like this, use the black side, right? This is doing nothing right now, just as a heads up. So let's say I took a V-flat with me and I just use the black side of it to block that light from bouncing around. You can actually, even if you're standing over here, you could see that it just cut every bit that was bouncing there on the side of the face. Again, I'm not saying this is the right call, because I like what's going on here, but watch the difference. Head down just a little bit for me. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, that's perfect. Great. And so you'll see a much darker side of the face. And you see it even darker on the left side of the image because less light is bouncing around in that space.
It's a question that Chad asking what the ratio of the background is now.
You mean the light?
I guess they want a reading off the background
Yeah,
itself.
so it's not going to be consistent across the background, but I'm at 5.6 on my key. The background here is reading 1.4, and over here it's reading 2. So it's, you know, it's a 2.5, 3-stop difference, depending upon where you're at, just by moving him forward a little bit and angling and moving this light just a hair, right? So I probably would open it up just a little bit. I would want maybe a little bit more light on the background, I think. It's great. It just opens it up a little bit. See that? Just a little bit more. And that kind of gives you more of that Irving Penn kind of look. On the background, I just went from about here to here. Can you actually, Seth, can you flip the overhead lights off really, really quick? Can we see if the modeling lights will work? Just really, really quick. So I basically went from here to there, just a little bit of a twist. Cool? Now what you can also do in these situations, like if this is a home studio, hanging up black fabric can work. Even gaff taping black fabric to the wall can work. Black paper can work. The V-flats work well. The back of one of these works in a pinch. We also regularly use flags, like even something like a 24 by 36. Anything like that is great at cutting light, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this white back because I actually liked what that looked like. And I'm going to take one quick shot here. Cool. Great. Let me turn your face just a little. Perfect. Let's make sure this looks good. If it looks great. And then I want you to kind of maybe bring one hand up. Yep, that's nice. That's great. And then just your eyes look at me. And then just your eyes look off that way. Great. And then just look up at me with the eyes. And so it's a very flexible light. You can kind of move around with it a little bit. And I think this looks really beautiful. Yes?
Did you get the images black and white from Capture One?
Yeah, I've not even done a complicated treatment here. I literally just pulled the saturation out of it. That was it. Sorry? Sorry. He had asked if I had done a black and white conversion in Capture One. It's very, very not refined here. The trick that I oftentimes do with these sorts of images is I give it a little pop of exposure and then contrast. But because you're working with a very flat light here, it can handle that contrast a little bit more, I think, more interestingly. So like this, and then just give it a little bit of a pump. And then you start to get something that looks like that. Okay, so this, I think, creates like a really beautiful simple portrait, not a whole lot of anything, really. It's just one really simple light. I think it works really beautifully. Now, with the darker clothes and everything, you might find that you want a little bit more definition to various things. So can you bring that hand up one more time for me, please? Yep, no, the hand, just the hand back up, yep. And just kind of how you had it before was really nice, just kind of leaning into it, yep. And then Cliff, could you do me a favor? Could you hold that for me really, really quick, just like right underneath?
Gotcha.
Perfect. And so that little extra help sometimes can be nice at just bringing a little bit of detail kind of in some of those other areas. And then maybe can you bring it over on this side over here, just so we can kind of see what happens if we, oh, careful.
Oops, sorry. Here?
Maybe bring it around a little bit. There we go, that's great.
Okay.
What's that? The connection?
I got you.
Yep, okay. Great. And because that left side is getting a little bit dark, bringing that reflector really, really close can give you just a little bit of lightening to some of those areas, right? I think that can look really cool. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, it's great, thank you. So the point here is that I'm able to take what is a relatively nondescript background, and honestly, even as a white background, this can work really well. Actually, one more time, could you hold that for me just behind him really quick, just so I can kind of show the white background? White wall, ready? Back up just maybe a bit. Just, no, yeah, perfect. And so even if this were a white background, you can kind of see how tonally it still works. It still translates, right? And that's a reflector, you know. So, cool. All right, any questions so far? How are we doing out there? Yes. Mm-hmm. So with this particular modifier, is there an inner baffle, Cliff? So he was asking, do we have a hot spot in this? It's got a double baffle, so there is an inner baffle and the exterior. It's pretty even light, honestly. It'll be probably a skosh brighter if you were to measure it, I would guess, in the middle. When I started to feather it, especially as you feather anything, you're gonna start to lose a little bit of light on that edge. And yeah, it's even, it's nice. It's really nice. It's not as susceptible to something like a beauty dish. Anybody else out there? Yes. I just was doing it as a black and white. Yeah. Oh. Thanks. But if I did put this in color, I think it works. Looks great.
Does this work with a flash also?
Sorry?
Flash, if you use the flash as well instead of a strobe.
Is this for a speed light?
Oh, you mean for a speed light versus a strobe? Yeah, it would work the same. The speed light strobe absolutely would work the same in these instances. Yeah.
Beauty dish?
Yeah. So something that does, you know, people love a beauty dish. This is a silver beauty dish, so it's got a little bit more of a reflective quality to it. You'll see more specularity on the skin picking up. I would probably say my personal preference is I like a white beauty dish for more of a, I don't know, it's like I find that it's a more even tonality across it. I'm gonna put this on in just a second. That's fine. But you know, it's got a good punch to it. You might use something like this for like athletes or something. So there is a plate on this, especially when dealing with the flathead modifiers. You can kind of see that it bleeds out a little bit, and you see it on the background here as well. So what I've got here is the plate pointed at Chris's face. So otherwise it's going to give me kind of that unevenness, and you'll definitely see the hot spot from the side. So you can kind of see it kind of rake across this. It can be interesting, but you know, I'll show you both. It just depends on how creatively you want to use it. All right, so I'm going to get a little look at this. Like, you can get cool results with it, but it's not probably how I would say it's intentionally meant to be used. Cool, maybe turn just a little bit that way. Great. And what I've kind of done is created almost like an irregular light across the face, but it actually does look pretty. It's just not really, because it's kind of uneven, but it can be interesting. Whereas if we used it kind of as it was intended, you can kind of see it's going to end up in a flatter version of that light. And what we're going to get is 5.6. Great. And it is very nice light. It's just, you can kind of see that it's now, especially with the angle, pointed everywhere, right? What I regularly like to use with a lot of my modifiers is I love a grid. And they really, really are extraordinarily invaluable. Here, really nice light on the face, on the background. It's fine, and if there were enough space, I could pull that background way far back, and I really wouldn't worry about it. And that's fine, but we don't always have that opportunity. And so I really do love the grid for the soft light reflector for the beauty dish. This is a 25-degree grid, and it will do a great job at restricting the light down. So it's these little kind of honeycomb patterns across, and it makes the spread of light go from, here to here. It's not going to change the quality of light. It's not going to make it softer or harder. It's just going to kind of restrict where it goes. We slide this right in here. Cool. And so just by doing this, you'll lose a little bit of light. Let's see how much. So we were at 5.6 before. We lost about 1/3 of a stop. So not a huge amount, but enough to compensate for. I'll turn it up 1/3. And you'll see a huge difference on the background. Look at that. Huge difference on the background just by adding the grid, which gives you a whole lot more control in this confined space. And I didn't have to turn it. I didn't have to feather it. Yes, you can do that. That's a thing that you can do in the pinch, but it really just puts that tight pocket of light really on his face, right? I mean, this goes to almost total blackness here, right, behind him, which I think works really nicely. Cool. Now, you can do a lot with this. This is very frontal, but let's say we want to do something a little bit more creative. Maybe turn your face this way for me, please. Great. And turn back just a little bit. Perfect. That's great. Yeah, that's great. And so I can actually, instead of putting him in a more frontal broad light, I can put it a little bit more behind. This is going to put even less light on the background, but it's going to end up creating this really beautiful, let's see, profile. Nice. Right? And it fades completely to darkness outside of that light really, really effortlessly. Right? So, what can we do with this? I think this is a really beautiful base, right? And there's a lot you can do with this. If you think of like maybe the old Karsh portraits where maybe that profile and the hands kind of come up, you can create some really beautiful shapes out of this. Kind of bring it, maybe cross the hands a little bit, just like just kind of like this maybe, and then look like this and lift the head up a little. Yep, great. Down a little bit. Good, perfect. And then just your eyes a little lower for me. There you go, nice. And then bring the chin down a little bit for me. A little bit more. Great. And so what we'll have is something like this, which is nice, gives you a nice sculptural shape that draws attention to the hands. But again, all the darkness, even on the light background and the B flat behind him, it fades to dark really quickly. So what do we do? Well, there's a couple of options here. We can put a light on the background. We can use a rim light. We can use both. We can also add a fill. to the foreground as well. So we're going to play around with what some of those options look like to show you the flexibility of what this can become. One light we can get nice results with, but when you start to add a few more into it, you can get a lot more variety. Do you have a question?
Question in the chat, basically asking, does adding a grid just make it slightly harder of a light?
The grid will not change the quality of light. What it will change is the spread of the light. So this being a relatively soft light source, it's a silver beauty dish, so it's got a little bit of a punch and specularity to it. Won't change those characteristics. You'll lose about a little bit of power from it, but it will keep the quality the same. It just won't go as far out into the scene. Same with the softbox. We call those egg crates as well, if you'll hear that term used interchangeably. A grid on a softbox will help restrict the light. I'm going to show you what that looks like when we put a softbox on here in just a second. And then you can also use grids for harder modifiers or lack of modifiers, and it'll do the same thing. It'll keep that hard quality of light, but it'll just restrict where the light goes. I'm going to show you that in addition. So, excuse me, I'm going to sneak right behind you. I'm going to put a strip softbox right over here. And we're again pretending like we're in this very small room. Now, what I probably would like to do in a situation like this is I would probably use like a 1x3 strip, only because I'm not shooting full body and I'm in a relatively small space. But we're going to use 1x4s today. Okay?
Gotcha.
Thank you. Put this on C. Okay. I'm putting this on group C, just so that I can control it separately. Generally, my personal, if I'm working in studio and I'm working in a very kind of structured flow of things, I usually like to put my main light on A. I'll usually do my fill light on B, and I usually like to do a rim light on C and a background on D. It's just usually kind of how my brain works, and then I know what I'm targeting to specifically adjust those things. This is not a small modifier. And unfortunately, it's going to create its own issues when it's this close and not controlled. So I'm going to take this, squeeze it on there. Sorry. Let's turn it down a bit. Maybe get a little bit out of here, just to give me a little bit of an angle, just so it's not hitting you in the back. I'm just trying to make it a little better. Okay, that's fine. So let's say I want to start where it's at exposure of the scene. Okay, so I'm at 5.6. I'm going to make this read 5.6. And this is where we get into reading lights in relation to each other. So if everything's at 5.6, 2.8, I'll turn it up a bit. Great. So it's reading 5.6 now. I'm 5.6 here. I'm going to have an even exposure front to back. Relatively even, right? But let's say you don't want that. Let's say you want it to be more subtle. I can take that power and I can turn it down, let's say 2 stops. Okay? And I can create something much more subtle. I think that's probably too subtle. Let me turn that up about a half a stop. Now, the other challenge when using a softbox this close and in this kind of space is that oftentimes, especially as you start to rotate, and if it's even brighter, you'll actually get these flares at cameras, which will kind of throw off your contrast. And I also regularly like to use certain lens filters as well that flare lights even more. And in these sorts of situations, as nice as they are on skin, they can catch these lights in a way that isn't always what you want. So, in this situation, what I would do is throw a grid on this. Again, you'll lose a little bit of light, thank you. But, so we can lower it down a little bit. Sorry.
While he's doing that, you guys in the chat, there's like 115 of you and 50 likes. I don't know what your problem is, but you can hit like for the guy he's sweating over here. Look at him struggle with this grid. Look at him. Give him a bunch of likes. And hit like for Cliff, too. He only has so much longer to
give Cliff
get
some
likes, you know?
Give Cliff some love.
Everyone clap for Cliff in the room.
Thank you.
Yeah. Community.
Thank you. So usually what I will do if I'm using strips is I regularly like to use a grid just because it gives me a little bit more control. It's almost always what my go-to is. Okay, you want to hop in for me, please? Great. Thank you. And you will lose a little bit of light, but cool. See, lost a little bit, but I'm going to pump that up just a hair. That's good. You can leave your head up. Perfect. Yep, just a little bit, just so we can kind of get a sense of it. Beautiful. Okay, it's just that really subtle lift back there. Just kind of carves out the shape. Now, I'm a big fan of a very, very subtle rim light, but if you like a more aggressive version of this, you just make it brighter, right? That's just very, very easy solution. Another thing that you can do here, if you want to keep that very contrasty look, is we can throw a light on the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this low stand here. And I'm going to create a little bit of contrast behind him. So by brightening it up, similar to what we're doing with that checkerboard light earlier, but I'm kind of doing this through a light, right? This gives you a little bit more control, lets you decide how bright you want those to be, but also to place the light exactly where you want it to be. For this, what's this? Just a light. I'll take a light.
Would a half-stop road rag work as well as a grid?
Would a half-stop road what?
It's
Road rag?
It's a flag system.
Oh, sure. I've not used that particular flag system.
Yeah, it's just portable, very portable.
Okay, yeah. I mean, flags I would use to control light, to shape light kind of from going in different directions. Flag kits especially also give you the extra fabric, so they give you silks and nets. And so if you want to darken something down, you can use a net, but I think it's probably more likely to use it with like an older continuous light versus a strobe because you can easily dial it up and down.
It'll cut light, but you're talking about spread of light is two different things.
I mean, there's different tools that we use to control spread. I regularly like to use barn doors as well, where you can actually kind of put flaps on the sides and shape the light. But grids are just going to keep that round shape. You can also use cinefoil to kind of wrap around, create your irregularly configured thing can also be fine. Totally a matter of personal taste. What I'm going to do on this background here is throw a light with nothing on it first, and then I'm going to throw a grid on it to show you what a grid on a hard light will do. So currently is going to be pretty bright. I also find that having a modeling light on when you do this can be very, very helpful. Sure. Okay. So there's that. It's fine. Like, especially in this tight of a space, it's fine. It's going, you know, all over. but it's fine. And you can change the power of it. You can, do what you want with it, but it's fine. Okay? But let's say you want something tighter, more constricted. So this is I think it's a 20. I think it's a 20-degree grid.
I think so.
20-degree grid for the hard light modifiers. This is going to give me a very tight beam of light. So let me move it just a little bit. Great. Very, very tightly controlled beam of light. I think I'm probably going to back it up just a little bit. You can also, in a pinch, you don't have to necessarily put it behind your subject. You can put it to the side to help it spread out just a little bit more. Right? Something like this, totally fine. Lovely. Right? But do you see how subtle it is back there? Watch the difference in this exact same spot. Huge difference with one of these. I love the little tiny pockets of light here. And I use these all the time. I'm going to give myself just a little bit of something over there, a little bit more space. Cool. It's super subtle, but it's basically I'm creating the shape of light behind him in a very, very slight way. Look at the difference between this and this. He's not lost. As dark as it is, you don't lose his form, right? Now, I'm going to add one more thing to this. I'm going to add a fill light, okay? And I'm just going to lighten up the shadows a little bit from the front. So I'll take this over here, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways you can use this. I'm gonna break everything before I leave.
Sorry, it's my house. You can break it.
Nothing yet. Thanks. What's this a B? Okay. So here's the thing. You can use a big soft umbrella as a fill. I do this all the time. I'll just take an umbrella here and lighten the shadows in the softest way I possibly can. And sometimes I just want to give a little bit of a lift to the shadows. But if you don't have an umbrella handy, and I do this all the time, all I'm going to do is turn it around and bounce it off the wall behind me. Just lighten everything, okay? So what am I aiming for here? Well, what I want is something that's going to lighten the shadows a little bit. Just by the feel, if you want. If you're a mathematical person and you like to meter and you're looking for an actual measurement, I would probably say that I usually gravitate toward about 2 to 3 stops underneath my key. So if I'm looking here at a 5.6 as my key, I'm probably going to end up somewhere around 2 to 2.8 in that ballpark of what I want my fill to meter as, if you are looking for an actual measurement on that. So to kind of turn everything off, okay, and I'm going to only turn my fill light on separately to meter that separately. That's not firing. It's triggering, but it's not firing. That head's not firing. Do you have another head?
I do not.
See, not firing.
It's weird.
Yeah,
I may have bounced it a ton.
He gave it a Cliff special.
that'll do.
Oh, I have another head. I have
Do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay. So basically what I'm looking for is I'm looking for about a 2.5 stop difference between the two.
Question in the chat is, could you use an optical spot for that background light to create the same effect?
You absolutely could use an optical spot to create a tiny control beam of light for something like this. Very, very effective at that. That's going to give you a hard light, which is what this is, and then you can move it in and out. It absolutely would work.
Channel 3?
Yes, please. 3B.
Okay. It's only
That's fine.
2.
Listen, you could also use a strip if you want a soft light from below, which is fine. But I'm just going to show you, even bouncing it off all of this, dark material, black, blue, it can work really well.
So someone in the chat's asking if your fill light is 2 to 3 stops lower than your key.
That's what I'm aiming for, yeah. So it is very, very dark in here. I'm bouncing off black. I am. I'm hitting at full power on this.
Do you want to move that V flight over here?
Just we'll just illustrate a point here, just to kind of show what's happening. Currently, this is just the fill light. Right, it's very, very subtle, and you can see the modeling lights on and the other things. I think maybe D didn't kick off, but let's turn A back on, this back on, and we should be better now. This is everything on. So it's very, very subtle. It's probably not enough, but it is a little more silvery in those shadowy areas. But let's say you do happen to have a white wall back here, you will notice a difference. Oh, thank you. Watch the difference. In terms of power, it'll lighten up a lot.
Bounced off Cliff's head. That's actually 2 seconds.
I know, right? Significantly more.
Cliff don't cliff like.
The Cliff don't.
Okay. Did I lose that? Did I lose the battery on it?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right, it's fine.
Battery.
It's fine. All good. Great. Which looks really nice.
Let me change this out for you.
Okay. But it is lightening everything. So you see the background has gotten brighter, not just him.
Nope.
You just lose the power.
I got it. You want to I got a battery.
I'll do that. Just I didn't park there all night. You laughing at me, man?
I love you so much, Cliff.
Right
There we
back
go.
at you. It happens when you get old. You'll see. You'll see something.
Listen, for being like 120, you're kicking it, man. You're doing great. Sharp as a tack.
Cool. That's fine. All good. All good. Okay. So I have this really beautiful light now. I turned the fill light down just a skosh because I like it a little darker, but that kind of gives you that really beautiful light. Now, it also doesn't have to be soft. You can use a hard light if you want. That kind of gives you kind of its own unique characteristics, especially if you're a fan of like Karsh. Right, so I can kind of take this. Now, what it is going to do here is give me a hard light on the background. So that's not what I want. What I'm going to do is give myself a little bit of an angle down. Bring it down this way a little bit. Just a little bit more. And I'll add a grid to it as well, just to give myself a little bit more shape and control. I got a grid here? No? This will do. Got it? This will work.
There it is.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't think so. So currently, it's going to be pretty bright. Or you might even see a background light. See some shadows in the back. But if I took this grid, I gave myself a little bit of a more restrictive light. My hope is you start to see kind of the power of grids in particular and how restricting that light can be hugely helpful. Got a little bit of a shadow. Let's try that. Beautiful, that's great. We'll turn it up just a little. Maybe a little bit more. So, you know, I do regularly light, that's too much, with a meter, but I also will light by feel all the time. And so this is a hard fill, but it creates kind of that silvery metallic look to it, which I really like. Gives you a little bit more punch and specularity to the shadows. And when you look here compared to here, right? It's also a little bit brighter, but it is a little bit more silvery. And it kind of gives you that harder shadow, which you can kind of see there, which I don't hate.
A couple questions in the chat. So the first one is, if I'm understanding this question right, because of compression on social media sites, the background lights that you're using can have banding. Any tips to mitigate that?
What do you mean they're banding?
Well, I think because you have gradation on a gray paper, some people, when they put it onto Instagram, it'll have like a banding effect.
Oh, 16-bit.
There you go.
Shoot in 16-bit. That usually mitigates that issue. And then don't push the file too much because you are most susceptible to banding when you are making big changes to areas of very subtle tonal differences. So clean backgrounds that have subtle gradations of light are always going to be more susceptible to banding when you push that file quite a bit. 16 bits will retain that information better, but if I took this file and I made an 8-bit image out of it and I tried to put a strong adjustment in Photoshop, not in RAW, you will definitely get banding pretty quickly.
And the other one is, someone feels that the highlights on his face are blown out. Would you take that down?
It's definitely brighter on the TV than it is in my computer, but you can. I mean,
it's also part of that silvery look he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's a choice. It's a creative choice.
Theirs is a little more subtle if you want that. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna turn my background up just a skosh. I think this light looks really beautiful. And then I'm going to just look down, just look at your eyes just a little bit, head up just a little bit, and then just your eyes down. Nice. Good. Tilt the top of your head to me just a little. Just that, perfect. And then turn your face to me just a little bit. And then lift up just a little. And just your eyes at me.
And what autofocus modes are you in?
I'm in single shot right now, but I do regularly alternate between single shot and continuous on the face. Can you bring the hands up a little closer to the face for me? Just kind of keep your face a little bit more that way. Yeah, perfect. And just yeah, it's great. Good. And then tilt the head away from me. That's perfect. Yep, nice. Switch hands for me. That's great. And then tilt the top to me just a little. Perfect. That's great. And turn your face that way just a little more.
If you don't have a fourth light, what would you use as a fill light?
You could use a reflector. Absolutely would work. Yeah, I mean, this is beautiful. So what we've got here is a lot of subtlety, kind of just putting the light in a very, very specific place. I think my one critique for myself is I want to get this a little bit further back just so it's not in my shot. Also using I will say that using a longer focal length won't make you as susceptible to it because I am shooting a little wide, which gives you those kind of fun distortion, a little bit of character to it. It's just making my life a little bit harder. So let me do the same thing. Give me that hand right up again. Yep, good. And then maybe here. And then lift this way a little bit and come off the hand just a little. It's almost like you're not, it's there, but you're not resting on it. And turn your face that way just a little bit. Perfect, that's great. And then maybe drop this shoulder for me. And lift up a little more. I know there's no posing table. You may put the hand underneath. There you go, that's great, that's great. Excellent.
And while he's going at it, you guys can hit like in that chat. Now there's like double
Right,
you
right at
than
me?
there are likes. So help the guy out. Chris needs to eat.
Oh, wow. I eat based on the
Validation.
likes. Yeah,
It's validation and nothing,
Exactly.
baby. That's
good. And then sit up a little, rotate away from me a little. Yep, good. Keep the hand
And don't forget to
underneath those.
subscribe either, guys, if you want more of these.
And reach that, I got a little bit. Nice, 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 nice. That's great. And then tilt the top of the head to me just a little. Good. And turn that way just a little bit. Good, perfect. Good, and then drop that hand for me. Great. Cool. So, the thing about lighting is it really is, you block light where you want it. You put light where you want it and you block it where you don't. That's kind of really foundationally all that we're doing here. The trick is kind of knowing what you want. That's always the struggle of this. So I'm going to kind of put a couple of these up here. And basically, these are all tools for controlling and restricting light. And grids in all different kinds of forms, both the hard light versions, the soft modifier versions, they are really all just about how we can control. And you can see how putting white bounce boards everywhere and really trying to make this difficult for myself and not using too much of an imprint in the floor, you can still get really beautiful results with a lot of light. It's awkward for everybody, but it's possible. And you shouldn't necessarily feel like you're limited by the space you have. I mean, if you go look at, Karsh's a great example of this, go look at, he was doing these environmental portraits in these people's rooms. There wasn't necessarily a lot of space for these things to be set up in, and still working with multiple lights, you can get these really great results with either very little light or just controlling many lights very, very specifically. So I think we have just time for maybe a couple of questions, if you guys or
I think
you have questions there.
there's one that says, is bouncing a bare bulb into the shadows better to go with option than an XL umbrella with a diffusion for fill? So I guess bouncer umbrella.
So when it comes to, most things, better or worse is always relative. It's really what you like. There have been styles that have kind of come in and out of fashion. You go look at photography from 50, 60 years ago, and it was lots of hard light everywhere, and that's just what was used. And then if you look at most of what was being used, but like a lot of soft light has been very popular for the last 20 years or so. So it's not that one is better or worse. It is always about what your preference is. And you can get great results with each. It's just a matter of what you decide to lean into and what works most effectively for what you are needing to achieve. The thing that you want to remember is that it's not I don't like to think about lighting as this formula that I need to adhere to whenever I approach any given project. I don't go in with an idea of saying, hey, this is what I have to use. I want to use what's right for the situation at hand and what's right for the subject. If I'm photographing a person, what's right for them. So what they look like, what they're wearing, all of these things factor into my modifier choice, the lighting that I use, the lens choice that I use. And that's oftentimes a bit of of an organic kind of process that we're working together to figure out. You want to come in with your knowledge and a rough idea. You don't want to go in completely blind and not really have a sense of what you're going to do, but you also need to be receptive to those improvisations that are going to get you to a place that is a better version of the image than this really specific formula that you think you might need to use. That's kind of my best advice for that. Yes?
Question.
Sure.
Not to nitpick, the images are beautiful, but the image on the right, what do you think is causing that shadow?
Oh, it's because I was using a hard light.
Is it the
It's because on one of the last ones, it's the fill. Yes. Yeah. It's actually, I think it's the top of his head. That's how, because it's a higher light. And I was just, when I was moving around, it wasn't totally behind him in some of the shots. So that was just, and that's the trade-off is I do sometimes like to use a hard fill because it's a really unique aesthetic. And I think oftentimes people are scared of using it, but I like it. I use it quite a bit because it speaks to that. It's a specific visual quality that I like, and sometimes run into a quirky little shadow. Now, in an ideal world, in my perfect situation, I'm in a bigger space, and if I can get honestly another foot of him off the background, you're not going to get it. So, just a little bit of a trade-off in the space. Yeah, I would like to thank Fujifilm for having me out here today, as well as Adorama and Profoto for coming out and support. Thank you all for coming here as well. Chris, thank you very much. And there you go.
For all you in the chat, don't forget to hit like, subscribe. This is a new channel. If you think it's subscribed, you're probably not. And we'll get Chris back here for some more stuff. He's not done. Don't worry. He's local, sort of.
We're live.
Hey everybody, how are you? My name's Cliff Hausner. I'm with Profoto. It's been a long time since I've done an event at Adorama, probably about 4 to 5 years. So I haven't done anything live here in at least that long. So I am a little bit nervous for a couple of reasons, because Seth makes me nervous. That's number one. Everybody here knows Seth from Adorama. This is Trupel. Yay, Seth from Adorama. Yeah. This is Trupel. He works with me, and he's a great photographer in his own right. Trupel Pandy, you should look up his Instagram. And this is Ken, who'll be our model for today. She works with Wilhelmina, so if you like what you see, you can contact Wilhelmina and hire her as a model. So what we're going to be doing today is be talking about, can you hear me okay?
No. You're fine.
Yeah, you guys can hear me okay? Can you hear me? You want a little louder?
Yeah.
Okay, now they can hear me, because I don't have a big enough voice. I'm going to do my thing, because I have a very, I'm very quiet. So what I'm going to be doing today is talking about what lights that we have and what lights we are using for the portrait setup that's behind us. We're also going to be talking about how to use these lights, why we use these lights in different ways that we can. Talk about each light and what each light is doing. We probably have way more lights here than we need, but since it was driving Seth crazy that we put up more lights than we needed, every time he got annoyed, I put up another light. So just to let you know. So if anybody here knows Seth, he gets annoyed at those kinds of things. So first I'd like to talk to you about the B10X and the B10X Plus. So the first light I'm going to show you is the B10X Plus, which is this light. It's a 500 watt second light. The beauty of this light is it's a battery powered light. This is the battery that comes along with it. You can swap out the battery in the middle. You can charge the battery separately, or you can charge the battery and have it charging while you're shooting. So it makes it an exceptional light for both shooting. It has both continuous light in it and strobe. So it works better when you turn it on, not always, but so it fires as a flash, okay? And it also can work as a continuous light and has color temperature control from 3000 to 6500 degrees Kelvin. So if you decide that you want to use it for continuous light, you can. If you want to use it as strobe, you can as well. You can also use it, as I said, plugged in, or you can use it battery only. So the beauty is that you can go on location with it and shoot with it, and you could be charging your batteries in your car if you wanted to, and use it that way. This is 500 watt seconds, and this is the same light. This is the Plus version, and this is the X version. the B10X without the plus. This means that it's 250 watt seconds. It weighs about 3.5 pounds. This weighs about 4.5 pounds. Very lightweight, portable, easy to use. So lots of times even if I do have to plug in, I'll bring these lights with me and use them as plug-in lights. And then sometimes I'll go out on location and grab the light and run out and do a shoot outside with it. Right? So I'll be on location, I'll go shoot with this on location, as well as shooting it with inside. One of the things that you're going to notice about most Profoto lights is the majority of them, you're able to fit all of our adapters and all of our gels and everything on this, and they're all the same size. So if you go from our Pro 11 pack and our Pro 11 head, all of the sizes of the heads are exactly the same. So all of our reflectors and all of the things that we have will all work on all the lights. Some of the ones that are only to be used with continuous lights in them that have LED lights, and some are made to be used with lights that are continuous lights that are halogen lights. Those are much brighter, so they take a lot more heat. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you how some of this works here. Again, B10X, B10X Plus, and I just want to show you some quick things that we have. One of the reasons that I like using these lights, and I've been shooting with Profoto for about 45 years, one of the reasons I like it is because it's simple. I want to change a filter. I could just pop that in, pop it out. I can even stack them. I can put extra filters on top of it. They're all stackable and they're all magnetically attached, and you can even attach a grid to the front of this. Right? So you can attach a grid, and as soon as I pop it off, you'll see on these lights we have them all set up with gels on them, all kinds of different gels. And it works beautifully because if we decide that in the middle of the shoot we want to change the look of the light, we want to change the coloring. Easy, simple to do. All right, so B10X Plus, B10X, 250 watt seconds, 500 watt seconds. Again, anybody here, you guys know the difference between 250 watt seconds and 500 watt seconds? It really is only one f-stop difference of light, right? So it's one ISO bump up. So between this light and this light, there's only one f-stop difference between the two. The size is much bigger. You're going to get out of this light, you're going to get about 200 flashes at full power, and in the thousands of flashes as you turn the power down. And the same thing, we lose anybody? No? Everybody's okay back there, right? Okay. So with this light, we get about 400 flashes at full power. So both of these, again, when they're plugged in, they're going to just run forever, and the continuous lights on them can run pretty much full time. All right, any questions? Anybody have any questions? If anybody has any questions online, I can't read it, but if you let me know, that would be awesome.
They all seem pretty exciting.
Okay, cool. All right, so the next light we're going to be talking about is the A2. Wow, I almost forgot the name of this light. That was really hard. So the A2 is a small, lightweight, compact light. I've traveled with these recently. They came out about a year ago, maybe a little bit more. They are small, lightweight, compact, but the beauty of these lights is how simple and lightweight and portable they are. These do not plug in. They are using a lithium-ion battery. It's the same one as used in the A10 light, right? So the A10 and the A2. The A10 is made to be used off camera. We do have a lot of accessories for these lights, and they do have the same click adapters and the same gel adapters, also just magnetically attached directly to the light. So any one of our filters, any one of our gels we can put on here, as well as, wow, it's hard to get off because it's made to attach quickly. What else? What else am I looking for? I was looking for another gel. It's okay. So the click box. So one of the other things I'm going to show you, sorry, I'm not supposed to walk out of frame. Seth is going to yell at me.
You can do whatever you want, Cliff.
Okay, thanks. So one of the other things I'm going to show you is how quickly and easy it is to set up a softbox for this. We have a click softbox, which can attach to the magnetically attaches. It sets up easily, breaks down easily, and you're able to use it. So in lots of setups, now I can travel with 4 or 5 of these lights, a couple of click boxes, a couple of grids and gels, and I can literally go out and do a portrait shoot without a problem. Here we've chosen to use the bigger lights, right? Because we need to cover a little bit more space, but in 90% of the time, you can go out and shoot location portraits. You can probably use this on location. Somebody have a question up there?
Ab says hello.
Hi, Ab. You guys know Ab? Ab Cisse?
Ab
One
Cisse.
of my favorite guys. Yep. He's usually busting my balls, but right now he's not here to do that. Also, I just wanted to show you that the size of, these sizes are the same in terms of fitting our reflectors and our lights on it. This one accepts the smaller lights, the smaller accessories, and this and this accept the same size accessories. So these two accept the same, all the other ones, the B10 and the B10X Plus, all accept it. So again, gels popping on, popping off, and they can go on here as well. All right? Any questions so far? No? No?
So the link to anything Cliff is talking about is in the description of this video. So if you're watching live, check the description. If you're watching back, it's down there as well.
Okay, thanks.
There's a question in the chat. They assume that there is an adapter for the A2 to mount standard soft boxes.
Say that again?
Is there an adapter for the A2 to mount other soft boxes?
Yes,
Like-
so you're actually, that's a great question, whoever asked it, thank you. So there is an adapter for this so that it will allow you to use these soft boxes, the bigger soft boxes on this as well. So it's an OCF adapter 2. We're so good at naming products, it's amazing to me. Our company is the worst at, sorry, somebody's from Sweden listening, I apologize. The worst at naming products I've ever seen because it's OCF2 and it's OCF1, OCF2. The difference, I don't know. They just can't figure out more names than A1, A2, A10, and it all sounds the same and everybody gets confused. So now what I'd like to do is I'm going to go through and talk to you about the lighting and the lighting setup that we have, and we're going to shoot some pictures. But before we do that, I'm going to go through I'm going to put this to the side. And we're going to talk about the lighting setup that we have. So, you guys are familiar with Profoto, right? Anybody here? Everybody here has an idea what we're doing? So if I can just grab the camera for a second. So this is the Profoto remote. This remote allows you to shoot with these lights, TTL or manual. And you can also do something called exposure lock, which is take your first picture in TTL, and then it locks in the exposure on all the lights. You switch it to manual, and now I can adjust each light individually. In groups, right? So I can put, I have groups A, B, C, D, E, and F, and I can adjust each light. So normally what I do is the main light is A, the side light is B, and the background light is C. We also have 2 additional lights, which is D and E, I think, right? D and E? Okay, hold on to that. So we're going to talk about how we set this up and why we set it up. So we're going to do the basic setup, which is that what we've done is if you see the photograph that's up there, that's the photograph that was taken prior to you guys coming in. And it was shot with this has a gel on the top of this light. It's just popping into an umbrella. We want to show you that you can do this very, very simply. One of the beautiful parts about Profoto, it just gets you there quicker. The reliability, the flash duration, the recycling time is just better than the other lights on the market. And it's easy to use. So if you take a look here, you see this light is with the blue gel on, and that's what that's doing is lighting the background. Then we have the next light, and again, we set up each one of these individually, right? So we did the background first, then we did the overhead light, right? And what we did is we put some cinefoil. You guys are familiar with cinefoil, I hope. We put some cinefoil. We have a magnum reflector on there. It's called an OCF magnum reflector, and we put some cinefoil on it to keep the light from spilling onto the background. Of course, we want this light to fill out the background and this to keep it from spilling onto the background. And then our next light is this one, which is, Jubal, can you pop this on? Excuse me, can you pop this one on, A? Yeah. Okay, thanks. Put the modeling light on. So this is our main light, right? So this is set up as light number A, and this is going to do a fill light into the subject's face. Now, normally you don't want to really go with a very, very strong, not normally, but it really depends on the look that you want. But if you notice in her face, the photograph of her face, the light is hitting her and it's coming across her face in a very, I should say Ken's face. You can take a look at it here, and it's coming across and creating a shadow on this side of her face. That's because of the way we placed it. And it's a harder light because it's a smaller light, right? The bigger the light source, the bigger the light source, the softer the light. The smaller the light source, the harder the light. Wow, I almost messed that up. And I've only been doing this for like 30 years. So I'm going to move this box out of the way.
If I just
What?
I just want to show the cinefoil part of things. A lot of photographers feel no one can hear you.
No one can hear you. Here.
You'll talk about it?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the cinefoil, the way we've placed it here, is, and you can, again, the reason we love cinefoil is because you can adjust it, you can move it into different positions, and you can basically watch how the light is affecting here, and then you can take the light and bring it where you want it to. So there are times when what we're going to do is take the cinefoil and let it flow onto the bottom of the background so that we can have the blue fade into a white, right? So, and this is the simplest way to do this, right? So you have blue on the background, you have a white light here, and then we have a gelled and gridded light here. I think it is. No? I may have been drinking. So I may have forgotten. So this light here is it's just gridded, and that's the light that's going to hit her directly in the face. That sounded terrible. Directly in the face. It's going to light her face. Light Ken's face. The two lights that we have here, these are the A2s. So by the way, up here, I think, which light, is this the OCF? I mean, this is the B10X Plus or B10X. So this is a B10X. The light in the back here, I think, is a B10X Plus. I may be making all of this up. I'm not really sure. And these are B10Xs. We have one Plus in here somewhere. I'm not really sure where it is. But so we can use, again, we can use one that's going to give us a little more power, one that's going to use a little less power. Right now, because we're shooting at an ISO that's easy for us to light, easy for us to light, we don't have to use the overpowering lights. We don't have to use a 500 watt second. A 250 will do. And these lights are only 100 watt seconds, these two that are here, but they're going to give us the additional light that you see coming across the background. Right? So as you're looking at the background, you see that light coming across, and that's going to give us that light as well. Okay? Any questions? No. I'm rambling. It sounds terrible. All right. So,
You want to do one by one?
what's that? Yeah. So let's do each light, and we'll take a picture with each light. All right. Here, shoot away. So if you can stand in, thank you. So while Troop is shooting, I'm going to describe what we're doing here. So what we're going to do is we're going to shoot each light individually, and I'm going to show you how we set these up. So he turned off all the other lights right from his remote. Hopefully he did. And we're just going to put the light from the background, and you're going to see how that appears as we shoot. Okay? So that's our first light. That's what we have to do, and we have to determine if the light. What's that?
This is on.
Okay, that's okay. Let me turn this off. Okay, so take another shot. So we build on our lighting, right? So we always want to light a specific area and make sure it's lit like we want, and see how much it's going to affect the rest of the shot. So if you take a look on the shoulders, you're going to see that that blue light spills a little bit, but not enough to make a difference. And so the next light we're going to do is the one right over the top of Ken's head. Ken, say your full name. Kensey's, and I can't say Ken. Well, I just did say Kensey. So this is Ken. Yeah, I did. I'm going to practice from now on. Kensey's, but so this is the light. Well, you have both of them on now. So turn that one off.
Oh, I thought we were just building up.
Okay, we can do that. No, that's fine. So now we have the background. We are seeing the light hit the background. The blue is filling out the background. This light is giving a little bit of light onto the top of the head. Can you come forward just a hair? Just go back a little bit. Right there. Take another shot. So notice the top of the hair, and that's just going to give us a little bit of fill. And again, we're keeping this cinefoil on here to keep the light from flowing onto the background unless we want it to. All right, so you're seeing the second light. Let's add the third light. What's that?
Do the background. I'm going to do this.
No, let's do that last. Okay, so let's turn this one on. Yep, I'll turn the other one on. So this light is giving us a hair light. It's going to give us a little bit of edge light on the subject's face. Okay. Now the power settings we set prior to this to adjust them the way we wanted them. The reason that we adjusted them the way that we did is because we want to see how much saturation we're going to be getting on the background. So right now you're looking at the most recent shot. So that streak coming across is literally done from an A2 that has two gels on it. It's double gelled, and it has a Fresnel front on it. I don't know if it's Fresnel or Fresnel. Anybody know? It's Fresnel? Okay, I guess I'm French, so French is Fresnel. So, and that light is giving us a beautiful spread of light, and it's creating that streak across the back. On the edge, is this light on, Chupel?
Yeah, it is.
It is? Okay, I'm going to turn the modeling light on. So we have a blue gel on this. And the reason that we put the blue gel on it is because we wanted the gel look of the background to be reflected back into the subject. So the background has a gel light, and we decided that we're going to have a gel coming on the side of her face so it looks like it's one light. It doesn't look like it's two separate lights. So can you you turning this one up?
This one on.
Okay, I want to do another shot so you can see that. So turn this one off, okay. And just do another shot so we can see if we can see where that blue is hitting. Sorry? By the way, even though Trupel's shooting the pictures, I get copyright on all of them. I'm just saying. He thinks he has copyright on it, but he doesn't. I wish you guys can hear him because there's a lot of busting going on and you can't hear anything he's saying, which is probably a good thing. So if you see along the side of her face, along the cheekbone, you're going to see how that blue light comes, and that effectively looks as though it's a light hitting the background, and also the light is, so you're getting that look of that light, and this light is just complementing it. Okay? Yes? All right. Now we're going to add the last light, which is being done with a... yes, we have to do that. So how about I do this? I hold that. You adjust the light. You need this. No. Do it here. You got it, that one? Okay. So Trupel is going to adjust the light so it's hitting Ken right in the face. So it's hitting her right in the face. I say that like 4 times. So the light is hitting Ken in the face.
So she's spotlit where they want. Is that a little better?
Thank you.
Attaboy.
I used to speak in full sentences, but it's been a long time since I've done these. So now speaking in full sentences is completely out. All right. Good. So what we have here is barn doors. We have a grid in here. And according to Trupel, we don't have a filter in there, but I think we have one, but he says we don't. So I'm going to go with that for now.
Should we check?
No, not right now. We'll check later, just to prove that I'm right. Okay? So you good? All right. So one of the things we want to do is make sure that this light doesn't spill onto the background as well. Because what will happen is that will start to wash out the background. So we're going to do a quick shot. So if I can get him, that's great.
You just want to take the final shot.
I did want to take the final shot. I didn't want it to be Trupel, because that way I really get copyright on it, and I don't like it. So, Trupel, shoot another one. Let me adjust this. Can you cheat your face? By the way, you guys like my booties? What do you think of these? They're Profoto Pro Foots. Yeah, I'm going to open it up. See? Oh, wait. You're right. There's no grid in there. There's no gel on you. You were right. Okay. All right. Yes. You want to hear one more time that you're right. Okay, Trupel's right. Everybody hear that? Everybody got Trupel's right. Anybody have any questions out there? Anybody? Any questions coming up on the... Yes?
Not specifically related to this for beginners, and for example, I'm only interested in taking portrait outside, outdoor, with a natural light, without that kind of a professional setting. What can we do? Do we teach that as well, person, or subjects, angle, or facing?
Yes. Right, so the whole idea is the beauty of being able to shoot with strobe outside is that you're able to control your environment instead of letting your environment control you. So by adjusting your shutter speed, you can take daytime and turn it into nighttime, and you can take nighttime and turn it into daytime. You can basically adjust how things look. Vanessa Joy, hi Vanessa. Vanessa does one of the most beautiful sunset looks with our lighting, where she gels one of the lights. And she creates a sunset look when there is no sunsetting. So the whole idea of this is that you're able to create an environment and a look that you want. By the way, did I shoot that one or did you? Did you shoot that one? Just checking. Okay, so you're able to shoot and you're able to control the light outside and not have to worry about where the sun is and where those things are. So I answered a very long answer to a very short question. So does anybody else in the audience have any questions? Anybody online?
What I'll say about what you're asking, there's plenty of stuff on Adorama TV about using sunlight, and that this is a demo specifically for something that you're not asking about. So that's probably like the first kind of like thing.
Right.
So you might want to check out the rest of Adorama TV and just search sunlight portraits, stuff like that. You'll find plenty of information on it.
Actually, I know that Ab Cisse, if you look him up on Adorama TV, he just did something on shooting outdoors. Ab Cisse, S-E-S-A-Y. Do you like that I'm plugging you, Ab? Are you okay with this? Good. I hope you like it. Really one of the most talented photographers I know and great lighting guy. So we've gone through these two lights. This is our third light, and we're going to show you a couple of variations on this, where we're going to turn off some of the lights and then we're going to turn on some. Mm-hmm. Okay, ready? What's that? Yeah, we're going to try the softbox in a second. We'll just do a couple more shots so I can pretend I did something. Great. Can you keep moving? Good. So Ken, being a professional model, really great moves. So she knows as I'm shooting and when I'm firing, she's making the next move. We've talked about this ahead of time because we photographed her previously, so she knows the look and the feel that we want for the shot. Everything from her hair and makeup was done by her, but with intention. We had shot her before and we photographed her before, and we had the same kind of look. So I'm also going to just change up. Now I'm going to change up a light and show you what we do when we take this and we put a softbox on it. Take the one by maybe the strip.
Ab says he's blushing. Thank you, Cliff.
He is? Okay. He's so cute. Here.
He's adorable.
Take this 3-foot octa. We can do this. Okay? What's that? Yeah. So we're going to do the 3-foot octa and we're going to bring it in closer and we're going to bring it over the top of the subject. By the way, the last shot I just did, I really like that the best. Is that yours, Trupel, or is that mine? I'm going to pretend it's mine because I like it a lot. So I do like it, and I like that streak coming across the background. Now, the beauty of this is it's really simple. We've done it in a very, very small area here. This is kind of, what size do we have here? 10 by 10?
You got roughly 11 by 13.
11 by 13. So we based it around shooting in a New York City apartment, right? With very high ceilings, though. So the beauty of this is that you can do these things, and you can get this kind of lighting effect, and you can do this kind of look in a very, very small space. Again, the lighting is small, it's bouncing. You're able to utilize, like for example, if I didn't have an umbrella, what would I do? I just bounce it right into my ceiling and have a similar or close effect, right? So I bring the light up as high as I could and I bounce it into the ceiling. For this light, to point it down, to put it over the top, again, just all you need is a C-stand and a boom arm, and you don't need anything fancy, just to bring that right over the top of the subject. Can you come forward a little bit and go this way? So now we're going to change this up a little bit. And what we've done is we've taken an OCF softbox, a 3-foot octa, and we've put it directly over the top. And I'm going to show you the little bit of difference. Now, there is a lot more because we're using a larger light source. The light coming in from the front is softer, right? So the larger the light source, the softer the light. We have a very, very soft light coming across the subject. And so it will give a little bit more wrap on the subject's face, right? So it won't be as harsh falling off. The edge difference between the shadow and the highlight is going to be greater. It's not going to be as short and cut off as it was previously. So let's do a quick shot, do a test, and let's see how we like it. It may affect the background, this light. I'm not sure. But
Question what your camera settings and lens setup is.
so the lens that I'm using is a 45 to 100, and I'm using it at about 80.
And this is on a GFX 100S, so it's a medium format 100 to 45 to 100.
Right, one of my favorite cameras to use. And what else do they want to know? The shutter speed? Shutter speed's 100.
You didn't really go over your camera settings, so what ISO, aperture, and all that.
Okay. ISO is 100. The aperture is f4, and the shutter speed is
1/80th.
1/80th of a second. Okay. So I'd like you just to cheat your face back up at the light there. Hands on the hips, if you could. That's one hand. That's great. Very nice. So I want to see if we're losing anything in the background. Could you grab that and shoot some shots? So what I want to show you is that, so this is not really affecting the background that much, but it is giving a softer transition. So if you take a look on the side of her face, you're going to see a softer transition from the highlight to the shadow area, right? And that's what we're looking for. Again, using a bigger light source to keep the light still directed at her, but in a much softer way. So what we did is we just basically increased the size of the light from here to about 3 feet, which is the size of the softbox. The depth of the softbox and the filter on the inside, or the silk on the inside of that, is also helping to diffuse the light and creating movement of the light. So as it's coming through, it's going to continue to give you wrap. Okay, so good? Yeah. Anybody have any questions about what we're doing here? No? Yes?
What power do you have each one of the lights set at?
So
Different power.
yeah, so each one is set up differently. The way we started out was originally was shooting TTL. Remember, I don't know if you heard earlier. So the question was, what are the settings that I have on each light, the power that I have on each light? So what we did is we basically started out with a TTL setting. I took the first picture in TTL, and then I saw how the lights looked. And TTL basically is where the camera and the lights are deciding what the exposure should look like of each one of the lights. All right? So then I go in and we manually adjust each one based on not necessarily on the power, just on the look of the shot. Does that make sense?
Yes, but,
I think I just made up that answer, but okay.
no,
Okay.
that answer's correct.
Oh, it is.
But,
Oh, wait. Okay, good.
well,
I was just told my answer was correct. That's awesome.
my real question
Yes, sir.
is,
Yes, sir.
what do you lose if you only had A2s?
It depends on the ratio that I'm setting up the lights, but I can, right, right, so. Okay, so the question was, what would I lose if I only used A2s on this? Probably not very much. I lose a little bit of output of light. What's that?
I think you'd lose nothing
Yeah,
because
Given the close nature of the
probably nothing. As long as I had the same type, the only thing that I'm losing a little bit of is I'm starting out with a smaller light source. So it's starting out as a little bit of a harder light, but I can make it bigger by using one of the soft boxes that I showed you earlier, right?
Yeah.
So I can do the same things with the A2s, and just as long as I have a remote, I can control it exactly the same.
you just use the adapter to these soft.
Correct, I can use the adapter, but again, we're starting off with a smaller, the question is, again, is what would I be losing with an A2? And Trupel said, rightly so, that we're probably losing nothing with it. And again, because we're talking about a small area, if I was shooting a bigger area or I had a lot more depth that I needed to cover, oh, I'm sorry, I had a lot more depth that I needed to cover, I probably would use a more powerful light just to get a greater depth of field. But here, we actually want a shallow depth of field. We want to throw that background out of focus. Any other questions? Yes?
Just a question about your lighting.
Could you repeat the question for me? Thank you.
Question about your lighting. So the light, I think you have on the left is like the near E light, giving the streak on the background. Is the reason you chose that kind of direction and angle to motivate the key? Or no? Has nothing to do with that? Or is it just looks cool?
Thank you. So the question was, did we do this light coming across the background with intention? Kind of, yes. I mean, we did it, but not as a relationship to the key. We just did it because we thought the streak going across really helped add motion to the picture. If you just shoot it as a static picture, it doesn't feel like motion. When she's bending her hip and moving in, you're creating that streak across, which adds motion and image, motion to the image, even though it's a still image. Everybody see that or agree? Yes?
I also feel a lot of lighting is play. I encourage not to start with something concrete in mind. It's good to have an idea, but just play with it. And that's when you will find things like this. The original idea was to just have a little yellow on the left side, but then Seth walked in and this happened. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, so
it literally is play. Like I highly encourage you to just play with it. The more you do it, the more you find out.
right. The name of this photo is Seth Happens. Okay, so it just sometimes he just walks in. No, actually, we were playing earlier and we were trying to decide on what we wanted the look to be, and we literally had time to play. It was great. We got here early so that we can just have fun. As soon as the model showed up, we were able to take our ideas and see how they looked with her in the shot, and so this is what we ended up with.
Since we're talking about it, let's move things around and
Yeah. So since I just got called out,
Yes.
this is what happens when three guys who light all the time come together and go, well, I like it like this, I like that, like this, and you're not making guesses because you know what will happen.
I just want you to know that the final idea is mine. Okay, no matter what they say.
Talk, Cliff. Talk.
No. So no matter what they say, the idea is still mine. Okay, I'm just saying. No, it really is a collaborative thing, and it was wonderful to do this because we had a lot of fun doing this. So did you change it? Okay, so we changed the light. So just again, adding a little bit of more hot spot to the background. We've also put it right behind her, directly behind her. Can you come forward just a little bit? Okay, now walk back into the light.
So here, it's more a question of asymmetry versus symmetry, what you want to go, how you balance your shot. It's up to you. None of this is right or wrong, right? But you're getting to a place that you're happy with an image you're creating, right? Either way, give them more looks. Who cares?
Good. So we're going to change. Whoop! Did I lose him? Okay. Let's just take a quick look at this. Can you shoot your face towards the light again? How's that light in the background? Is it coming up?
no, not really. Hold on.
Okay, turn the power. Okay, got it? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, let's see how that looks. So again,
No, take off the Fresnel.
yeah, and it's tilted towards the other. Go directly behind her with it, Chupel. Yep. Okay, so what he's doing is he's taking off the Fresnel. We have a Fresnel on that, which is giving us more of a spread of light. So we would like it more, instead of you're going to see a little hot spot here now, right behind her. I'm going to shoot with Chupel in the shot. Oh, I missed. I know. Let's just see. So where we have a more smooth background, a more gradated background, instead of having a hot spot like we were having earlier, right? We created that look. And the way that we did that is as we moved the light closer to the background and we took off the Fresnel, it's giving more of a spread of light and it's spreading it out more instead of concentrating it and giving a more of a specific spot light on the background.
Sit down and do the whole. Sit down.
Okay. What's that?
Take a wide angle adapter, you can slap on that.
No, not with me. Okay. Here, Chupel. Let me change this. Okay. So also one of the other things is if you're in apartments in New York, sometimes you don't have the height to be able to shoot up into a subject. So what do? You have the subject sit down, right? So you're going to bring the subject down to an eye level and you're just going to shoot from a low angle as Chupel's doing here. I don't know if you guys can see. But as he's doing right here, shooting from a low angle and shooting up at the subject and having the light looks great. So we talked about this earlier, and actually we photographed Ken earlier with the lights in the shot. We just kind of like the look of it. We think it looks cool. And again, just giving you a completely different look. If you notice also, you're going to see a little bit of a vignetting on the top of the image. The vignetting is essentially, I think it's from the umbrella, but I'm not positive. Right? But I don't mind it as much, and I don't think it really bothers me. I kind of like the look of this, and I like the light stands being in the shot. If we could pull back further, I'd even ask him to do that. Can you go wider on that, or is that as wide as you can go? Yeah. If you back up to Chicago, it will get wider, I promise you.
I think that vignetting might be the lens hood.
It may be. No, I don't think so.
It is.
Why did you put a lens hood on? I always tell you not to use a lens hood. It was. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, it's still there. And the lens hood's off.
No, the
it's
two
not there.
corners aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
It was here and here.
Okay, but there is something coming from up here. There was something coming up from there. Okay. If that's my daughter calling to say she's in the hospital, I'm on my way.
Context for the online, he's expecting a grandkid, so it's not hospital-like.
Yes. So normally I'm not this nervous, but I'm nervous not because of this. This is easy. What she's doing is hard, so I'm super excited about it.
You just like the kids in the hospital.
No, well,
They don't know. They're like,
well, thank you for the context. That's why I have you here. You're supposed to add in, jump in. All right, so we're going to try another completely different kind of look. What I'd like to do now is, you want to try the black background?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it. So what we're going to do is switch this around a little bit, switch it up. We're going to bring the black background down. Let me hold this.
You got to pull stands or no?
What's that?
You got to pull stands.
No, we
No.
You're just going to drop it?
Yeah, it's going to drop it straight there. Okay? So Seth, can you hold that?
Yeah.
Thank you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same kind of shot, the same kind of look. We're just going to drop a black background down, and we're going to do the same kind of look, the same kind of shot, except that now what we're going to do is take these edge lights, and instead of having them pointing at the background, we're going to have them point at the subject, at the back of her head. Can you stand up for a second? So what I'm going to do is we're going to make these so that this light is coming off, the orange color light is coming off one side of her face, and the blue light is coming off the other side, and now we're going to photograph. So simple. We have a basic lighting setup, and now what we're doing is we're adding other things, other ways to look at it, right? So we're not sure how this is going to look because we haven't shot this before, but it's the first look. All right, Chupel, just step up and take the shot. Just 1 second. I like being your assistant. I do.
You're just
Highest paid assistant he's ever had, by the way. Absolutely. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another. No, it looks beautiful. You shoot it. I love it. So beautiful color, and it's a nice shot, but a completely different look than we just had and a completely different feel. I think kind of in a way a little bit more sophisticated than what we had before, although the shot before was nice. Less motion in it, but I still like the edge lighting and I like the way it happened. So basically all we did is we dropped the black background, we took the two lights, and we have this light with a Fresnel on the front of it, or Fresnel, depending on how you call it. And we have a blue gel. I know, I'm going to go both now. So we have a blue gel and we have a Fresnel on the front, and we have a yellow gel or warming gel here, right? So I think I'd like to, just Drupal 1 second. I think I'm gonna bring this up just a little bit. You wanna leave it in the shot? I can move it further into it? Okay. Let's just do that. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. I'm gonna shoot another shot. Yes. Can you guys see? I'm sorry. I'm stepping in your way here. Any questions? Are there any questions online? Anything I can help with? No.
Saying congrats, Grandpa Cliff.
Thank you. Thank you. They call me Poppy, actually.
But if you guys are watching, you got like 100 of you in there and only 39 likes. The guy's about to have a grandkid. Come on, hit
Come
like
on, come on. Likes on the grandkid? No? Okay.
This is how he's going to feed that kid. Hit
That is. By likes. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to feed the kid
That's
by
the
likes.
currency of the
Yeah.
future, and you all know it. Just
Yes.
like
Not in my world it
validation.
isn't. I could care less about the likes. All right. So a completely different look, a completely different feel. Now let's just turn this off. We'll turn this light off. Drupal can do it actually from there. Turn this light off. Turn this light off. And now take another shot. I just want to see how that looks without the gels in the background. Now you're going to notice without the edge lighting how, because she's wearing black, she's kind of going into the background. She's melding with that background. So the reason that we have these lights on from behind is to separate the subject from the background. Sometimes it works to do that. Sometimes you don't have to do that, right? So the other thing that we can do is I can bring you in here, take this light, and we're going to move this in. Keep going back. We're not going to worry about this light. Actually, can you turn that one off? And we put these on wheels. We put this light on wheels because it's the main light. So I'm going to tilt it up a little bit.
You put it on wheels because I left my stand here.
That's true.
You got to take that home one day.
Yep. Okay, take another shot.
Just want to check how it looks.
Okay.
Yep, it's good.
All right, so the thing that you're going to see about this now, what it's doing, it's also lighting the background. So it's giving a little bit of too much light to the background. So probably what I would do is let's bring...
I like it.
You do? You do?
No.
Yeah, so it's giving the background more of like kind of a gray look. Yep. Yes, somebody has a question?
She's wearing a white clothes. For example, the girls are wearing different colors of clothes. What kind of background will you choose accordingly?
Can you repeat that question?
If she was wearing white as an outfit, how would you change? What kind
Watch
of
this.
background
Watch.
would you use?
Watch what
with
we're going
her?
to do.
Oh my God, she has a white coat. Here
Yes.
we go.
So the white is going to help give more separation from the background. She won't blend in as much. But the easier way for me, the way I like it better, is I like to put a light that's giving a little bit of light coming from behind to add a little bit of difference between the subject and the background.
It's also nice, Cliff, because you got cool tone light everywhere, and the warm tone is her skin. Like in this shot, all
Yep.
the warmth is on her skin, which is really nice to keep the focus of the viewer and a lot of life to your subject in a vapid space, you know?
Yeah, now for example, basically you use black background that's fitting any color. But for example, I'm wearing purple or pink. Do you choose different background?
Yeah. Yeah, so I just threw this up just to show you a contrast in colors. The question was, do I use different color backgrounds? It's all about mood and about the feel, what I'm looking to do. This one, to be honest with you, I just want to play and I want to have fun, and hopefully you're having fun watching us do this.
I also feel
Use the microphone, use the microphone.
it's
Thank you.
always important to work in your color palette. Like it is important to do the homework and then have a mood board and have a color palette and then shoot in. You can look up a little bit about color wheels and palettes, and there are lots of...
They matching like which color match which color.
Well-
I think you have to for this as well if you're looking for a certain kind of that's the secret, I guess. Yeah.
And that's why we had the warming gel, the warming light, which was more of an orangey yellowish color, and we had the blue because they work really well together and they complement each other, right? We don't want something, I mean, sometimes we want them to go completely opposite, but
Yeah.
question.
Just keep in mind that like everything in a frame is a language, right? You're saying something. So like telling a color story is part of that, whether you want it to be complementary, where they go against each other, or they're saying a monotone type feel. You have to kind of make that intent before you start shooting, right?
I think the one main point about lighting that most people miss is that all lighting should do is help communicate the story that you want to tell. Right? So if it doesn't help to tell the story of the subject that you're photographing or what you want to say about that subject, it's bad lighting. It's great lighting if it does the opposite, where people are seeing the picture and seeing and feeling the same things that you felt about it or you wanted to communicate about the photograph. What is a photograph? It's literally taking a picture of light, and we're photographing light, and so we want that light to help be our paintbrush, to help tell the story.
Yeah,
Right?
and Trooper just pulled up the two we just shot, right? So on the left, you've got a bit more of an edge. You've got that hot spot on the left, but there's not much to that outfit. It's black on black, but it's more about the edging out of a geometric shape and feeling it that way. Sleek, you know, a little bit more punch in your face. On the right, you're kind of led into her skin tone. You've got that soft fabric. It's there, but it's not overpowering. You're not kind of conflicting between what you're looking at. These are the same space, same setups, different theories. So like it's really about the intent before you start just slinging lights around, and then you sling those lights around, have a little fun and dial it. But you got to get to a goal. It's if you can just keep saying anything off the top of your head, but no one's gonna know what you're communicating unless you think about what you're trying to say. Same thing. What Cliff is saying is right. You use the light to communicate. There are two questions in the chat.
What are the questions?
One, are you doing the newborn photography for your grandkid?
Oh, that's a great question. No.
Okay.
A doctor should never operate on their family member. I don't take pictures. I'll have Trupel do that. Or Ab.
Oh,
or
yeah.
both of them.
Oh, Ab, that'll be
Yes, I got Trupel and Ab.
And then Tiger White in the chat's asking, can you use the B series strobes with the A series using a Profoto remote?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use the same remote. Our same remote will work with any of the Profoto lights. And by the way, the A10, one of the things that most people don't know, they're like, why is that light so expensive? No, they do. They say it, right? Don't they say it?
Look, I love that. I asked that the first time it came out. I said, Cliff, you got to be kidding me. And then I ended up buying 5.
So the reason that it is because built into this is this remote, right? So this remote is built into this so that all the things that I can do with this remote, I can do from this light. So I can put this on the top of a camera. I can use it with the flash on, with the flash off. I can just use it as a remote if I want. I can control all my lights. I can shoot TTL and manual the same exact way that I can do this.
The chat is saying Cliff 2024.
What are they saying?
They're going to vote for you in 2020.
Okay, how did I do?
Yep.
Good?
You have
Okay.
a new hashtag, see?
Friends, patriots, American, decent, and good human beings. I love people. You guys online missed this earlier, but I was doing my political speech.
No, but I'm going to, for serious though, right there is his social, all you watching. This is a legend in our industry. He's not going to say it himself, but
No,
this is like everybody's crazy uncle.
That's embarrassing.
Everybody here that shoots live could not do it without a guy like Cliff in this industry, and he taught everybody everything everywhere. I'm telling you, you learned something from Cliff in this industry. Don't lie. If you shoot here pro, you know it.
Check is in the mail. Check's in the mail. I got it.
It's always going to bounce
I'll hook you
anyway.
up. What do you need? What kind of lighting you need? What do you need?
I need free gels.
Gels. Okay. Here, you can have them all right now. Take anything you want. Okay, you can have all mine. So, any other questions? Are there any other questions up there? Any questions from the audience? Yes.
Do you have any adjustments already on the images that were?
Yes. Basic capture one adjustments.
You can take my class.
To speak into
So
the microphone?
wait, the question on the chat, just for the chat, is there any adjustments being done to the shots on the screen? And Trupel's going to run you through it.
Before, after, you might want to. I have basic adjustments, contrasts, pulled back highlights, and I normally like to work on skin tone.
Did you mention that you were shooting into Capture One?
Yes, I'm shooting into Capture One.
Okay.
This is before and after.
I like before better, but just my thing. No, I'm joking. I like after looks much better, right?
I can do that with other images as well.
Actually, that one I do like the before better.
It's nice and soft. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Whatever.
There was somebody else raising their hand.
But
Did you just say, wait, you didn't hear that online, thank God.
Adjustments are the same thing as lighting. You're choosing the style you want to put out there in the end. It's your shot in the end, right? So color grading is just as much as important as lighting in the end. So you might like it raw out of the camera because you chose that camera and how it looks that way. Some people might like to stylize it, like Trupel over here. You know, it's your call, you know, especially with color theory.
Yes, another question, somebody else? So I just also want to make one other point. You can still hear me, right? I just want to make one other point that, and I said earlier that we were just playing and having fun, but we really did go in with a specific intention. When we did a pre-shoot to this shoot, we photographed in Brooklyn, and we had a studio set up, and we really played with the kind of lighting that we wanted, the look that we wanted. So we really did have a feel. Then when we got here and we got what we were looking for, then we took it to the next step and just had fun with it. Right? So you get to a certain level, as long as you're telling the story that you want to tell, and you're adding lighting to it, you're just going to continue to tell that story and just adjust the light so that it still feels the same and works for the model. Yes.
Someone in the chat just mentioned this. You actually can use all these Profoto strobes with your cell phone as the camera, and it will trigger.
Very good. You know what?
You know what? Where were you on that one, Cliff?
I don't. You know what?
Is this the ball you dropped on the floor? Jeez, man.
No.
Look at this. This guy's killing it for you.
Did I mention I drink a lot?
Yeah, you do drink a lot.
I do.
You're a vodka guy. Right?
Vodka guy. Yes, vodka guy. Anybody want to send me anything online? Just let me know.
There are questions about doing black and white, and then there's any tips on getting into commercial photography. So black and white.
So I do a lot of black and white shooting. When I do my portraits, if you go online, you take a look at my Instagram, you're going to see a lot of black and white images that I do. The reason, what's the pointing?
I'm pointing at your social to give you some shout outs.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't care about that.
Influencer.
So if you go take a look, I do a lot of shooting in black and white. And generally the reason that I do that is so that I can adjust the skin tone as much as possible. So if I'm shooting especially older people, or I'm shooting people with more wrinkles or people who have issues, I can just expose the face where I'm losing all of that, whereas in color, it would be very, very hard to get rid of. So that's my take on black and white, but I also do love black and white because that's where I came from. I came from a photojournalism background. I started out shooting for newspapers. So black and white was my thing, and I still love it, and I still feel that that's more creative and more artistic than necessarily shooting in color. But that's just me, right?
And any tips on getting into commercial photography?
Don't? No, I'm joking. No, I think if it's your passion and it's something that you love, I think you just have to keep working. Like the best photographers that I know are people who shoot whether or not they have an assignment, whether or not they have a job. They're shooting all the time. I can't do anything but, like, I have no other life except for my family and this. I love to take pictures. Like if you give me a choice between doing this and I'll travel, but I'll only travel to take pictures. Like that's what I love. So in answer to your question, I think you just have to keep doing it and find your look, find what you like to take pictures of, and make sure you're photographing things that you like, because it will just show in the images, right? So and once you find that, and once you find a place that you can sell that, or that you can find somebody who's interested in your look and your style, then the pictures will sell themselves and your photography will sell themselves. Yes. Can you repeat this for me? Yes.
I feel like being like a generalist nowadays is the right way to go, or you need to specialize?
The question is, do you need to specialize, or is it better to be a generalist?
It's very, very hard to say today. It really is. I don't want to tell anybody not to take a job, but it's hard. What it was for me is, back in the day, there was something called stock photography. And I used to shoot for a stock photo agency. My wife used to run a photo agency in New York, and I used to shoot for that one. And then there was another company called FPG that I used to work for. But the problem was, shooting stock photography really affected the other images that I was taking. Because when you're shooting stock, it's more like a general image, and it's giving you something where it's just trying to say something in an image, but it didn't have any style or look that really was me, right? So in answer to your question, if you can make the adjustment, I have a problem doing it, but if you can make the adjustment to shoot weddings one day, do portraits another day, and then do commercial photography another day, and you can adjust to those things and make those all work for you, that's fantastic.
Nice. The question in the chat, on the remote, what's the difference between Air 1 and Air 2 as your settings?
Okay, so the question is about the Air remote. This Air remote has the newest remote that we have. It's called an Connect Pro. Thank you, a Connect Pro. Wow. It's a Connect Pro, and the Connect Pro actually, in Group 1, it has two different settings. One is Group 1, which will allow you to see the changes, but not the actual numbers that are on the screen. So if I change this a full stop, it won't show me the actual number. It will just show me the number, the amount that I changed it, right? If I go to Group 2 or Mode 2, if I go to Mode 2, it will show me the actual numbers on the back of the light. So I know that if I went from F5 to F6, or I went from number 6 to number 5, it's telling me that I'm doing a one-stop difference in movement. and change. Here, it's just showing you, if you're using number 1, it's only showing you the change, not the actual number that's appearing on the back of the light.
Yeah.
Does that explain it?
I think one of the biggest differentiators is that one of those modes is better for the older light systems that Profoto makes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the older light systems, you're probably going to use mode 1. And for the newer lights, you're probably going to use mode 2 because all of them will talk back to the remote, right? Yes.
For a general lighting question, recently did a shoot and got a very weird color cast from like a bright red shirt bouncing up at the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a position or a power issue or just trial and error?
That's a tough one. You're going to have to, you repeat it.
So the gentleman in the audience said he was shooting and he got a color cast of like a red shirt bouncing over someone's skin up into their face. What would be the issue with the lighting there? More or less. Yeah. All right.
Right. So the thing that I would do in that case is if I had a lot of light reflecting off of this, I would focus my light on the subject's face and try to minimize the light that's hitting the subject and then bouncing into the face. So I would try to light specifically the face and light the body separately. Lots of times what I'll do is I'll use an OCF softbox, let's say, or something on the top, like a 3-foot octa or a 2-foot octa, which is really going to focus with a grid on it. You guys know what a grid is, right? So this is the grid. This is the front of the softbox. I'll use this to focus the light on the subject's face, and then, but I'll use it with the 3-foot octa or 2-foot octa, and then I'll pop this off, and I'll use this just on the body. So I'm lighting those two things separately, right? So if I'm lighting the body with this, I can adjust the amount of light that's hitting that to reflect back into the face, and I can add more white light into the subject's face. Make sense? Good, because I just made that up as well. Yep. It sounded good to me. It sounded good in my head, so I just went with it. Yes. Are there any other questions? No? You sure? Anybody? Okay.
Pretty good.
If anybody at the, as we're breaking down and we're finishing up, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you for having me. But if anybody at the end here wants to step up and shoot some pictures, I'm welcoming to you. People online, I'm sorry I can't bring you with us. I'll be more practiced next time we do this. I'll be much better, I promise you. And I won't be as nervous.
Do you want to do a sign off really quick?
No.
All right, well, I'll do a sign up for Cliff because he's new at this apparently.
Yes, I've never done this before.
Listen, if you guys are watching this channel, it's a new channel for Adorama. It's Adorama Events. Please hit subscribe. You think you're subscribed, you're not. You've been watching Adorama TV. Adorama Events is a new channel. It's everything beamed out here, including this guy. I'll get Troople in here one day. You know I'm going to mess this place up as well. So don't worry about it. Just hit subscribe, hit like. He needs to feed his new family with these likes, man.
I love this guy.
And don't
He's
forget,
my favorite.
And don't forget to drop a comment if you're watching live. I want to thank everybody coming out. And I'm going to cut this live stream.
Thank you. Thank you.